This first play with Paul George sees him telling the Detroit Pistons to just settle down and relax. George realized that the shot clock didn't reset on this play like it was supposed to, so instead of panicking and rushing a shot, he just put his hand down to tell people to chill, and then he uncorked a deep three-pointer that swished right in.
Good job faking.
Got the rebound, throws it out to Paul George.
No, it should have reset. I can't believe that.
Even his own Pacers teammates weren't expecting this kind of shot on that play.
Lucky for you, that's what I like. That's what
And just like those teammates, here Chris Bosh didn't expect this out of Paul George. George started to run out in transition and saw Bosh standing in front of the rim. George decided that he wanted to test out how good Bosch's rim defense was, so he just rose in front of him and slammed it down all over him to put him on a poster. Mind you, this was in a heated playoff game that was each team's most important game up to this point in the season. And here's PG coming out here with a dunk like this to sway the momentum. Bosh wasn't the only guy who got plastered on a poster though. Just watch this next play as George blew right past Malcolm Brogdon and the Milwaukee Bucks before rising up into the air and throwing it down all over Giannis Antetokounmpo. The long wingspan of Giannis wasn't enough to stop PG-13 on this play. He was determined to get to the rim, and he sure got the job done here. I definitely didn't expect to see someone poster Giannis like this, considering how strong and lanky he is underneath the rim. But it's not just dunking that George is capable of, he makes buckets when it counts. With the Indiana Pacers down by 4 points against the Sacramento Kings with just 18 seconds left in the game, George quickly shot the ball after receiving the inbounds pass. Instantly, he rose up and shot it from deep around the screen, and he sank the triple with contact, forcing the foul to be called and giving him a 4-point play. Now, when your team is down 4, probably the most shocking thing you can do is find a way to tie the game, especially with just seconds left in regulation.
don't believe me, just watch.
All right, the Chicago Bulls are the next team that was in George's sights here. Early on in the Pacers matchup with the Bulls, George found a rebound bounce right in front of him, and he wasted no time just picking it up and throwing it straight down on the rim. Nikola Mirotic was about to stand in front of him to slow him down, but the second he saw him coming towards the rim, he backed away at the last second to avoid getting postered. Smart choice, my friend. Smart choice indeed. Those handles are pretty nasty from George as well. At this point, they're becoming a little bit underrated. Just take a look at how George was able to take the ball down the court on a fast break and pull off a behind-the-back dribble move around the Los Angeles Lakers defender to just juke him out of his shoes. Shortly after that, he just continued on like usual by rising up and throwing down the flush on the Lakers. The defender looked like he was almost in disbelief when he saw that ball go behind his back. It all started to look like he was about to make a huge steal on the fast break, but he definitely got thrown off. Now, George's time in Oklahoma City was kind of interesting. There were a lot of ups and downs, but there was certainly the positive. This play, George catches an inbounds pass against the Philadelphia 76ers when they were down by 2 points with 7 seconds left. Right after the Thunder gave the ball away, the Philly crowd was going insane after they took the lead. Not to fear though, George quickly fired away when it touched his hands, and not only did he drill the triple on the play, but again he got fouled to get a 4-point play and extend that lead to 2 points.
I think Paul George has to get a touch at some point, and he does. The 3-ball quickly, got it, and won! My George!
Just seconds before, the 76ers thought they'd won the game after that steal, but George sent him home with a loss. Now, Paul George made sure to get himself some popularity during the NBA dunk contest with the Indiana Pacers, too. George walked his way up and decided to throw down this emphatic dunk.
I believe I can fly.
He hit us with a 360 through the legs dunk, something the commentators called a video game dunk. The fact he did it so easily just goes to show how athletic he really is. Now, mind you, as easy as he made this one look, it is really difficult to pull off. And George let us know that if he wanted to, he could give us a multitude of flashy dunks during this contest. This next clip happened pretty recently. George and the Clippers were all smiles after he broke the heck out of Kristaps Porzingis on the Dallas Mavericks. Porzingis tried to cut Paul off at the rim. He was hit with an in-and-out type of hesitation that sent him scrambling backwards onto the ground. Porzingis was being heckled so much that all he could do was laugh, while the Clippers bench just couldn't believe their eyes. After all, how can you televise a murder like that, right? On this next clip, we're going back to the battle between George and LeBron. George was lined up across from James, and he didn't waste any time hitting the king with a beautiful crossover and got his way into the paint. Shortly after that, he threw down a monster dunk as both LeBron and Tristan Thompson jumped up with outstretched arms trying to stop him from scoring. Just wasn't enough in the end, though, as he basically acted like those dudes weren't even there. But he certainly knew this next guy was there, and he made sure to show him that he didn't care anyways. George got the ball near the corner and saw Jeremy Lamb go up to defend him. George went to drive near the baseline, but quickly pulled it back behind the arc, sending Lamb sprawling onto the floor after that dribble move. George then looked at him and then shot the three-pointer, which wound up sinking in right over Lamb. The worst part here was that he got back up and tried to contest the shot, which only made things worse when it fell in. You could practically hear the air being taken out from the Charlotte Hornets after that. I'm telling you guys, when it matters most, George always comes up clutch. This was one of the most shocking ones. George missed a three-pointer with the Pacers, down by 5 points with a minute left. But George somehow got the ball back into his hands, and as he was literally running the opposite direction, he turned and just flung it blindly towards the rim to try and draw the foul. Miraculously, though, he actually drilled the deep three-point shot, and honestly, everything about this just looked ridiculous. I would have been heated if I was on the Atlanta Hawks after a play like this. And I would have been upset too if I was Kevin Durant on this one. George smoothly worked his way right around Durant, putting him on his heels with a nasty crossover before stepping back and firing a three-pointer, sinking it over the outstretched arms of KD, which, if you've seen his wingspan, that's not an easy thing to do.
And another steal and deflection by Paul George. And a step back.
Next up, we've got George depressing the entire Dallas Mavericks roster. With the Clippers down by 3 points, the Mavs thought they had pretty much clinched their victory. After all, there was only 1 second left in the game. But Paul caught it near the corner and fired it away, somehow sinking the deep triple to take the game into overtime. The crowd just erupted in cheers as the Mavericks just stood there looking around in disbelief at that clutch bucket. And finally, we've got George beating another buzzer. This time, it was against the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team he'd eventually play for. George caught it from behind the arc and shot it as the clock expired despite a heavy contest from a Thunder defender, and he still got it to fall. OKC could do nothing but go back to their huddle with a little less momentum after that huge buzzer-beating jump shot from distance.